How do you tell if someone is ugly or attractive? Well, of course, you use a graph. Here is what would be described as a normal distribution, or a bell curve. Now, calm down. The last time a bell curve was used to describe people in any meaningful way was quite controversial. But this is not controversial at all. Now, this is the distribution of the curve. From 0 to about 4.2, we have the Uggo field. This is where ugly fucking people preside in the standard 0 to 10 scale of rating people in attractiveness. The height of the curve describes the commonality of people at that point. As you can see, there are a lot more ugly fucks than there are attractive fucks. From 4.25 to about 6.75, we have the beautification field. Generally, this is not described as people who are inherently beautiful yet, but it can come across that way quite simply once we get to that point in the presentation. Then from about 6.75 to 10, we have the beautiful field. These are people who are or are approaching beautiful. Now, there is natural beauty and there is beautification. Natural beauty is how one is presented before any beautification takes place. Beautification is a simple process that takes a lot of narrowing down. Every single person who is ugly and can be beautified has a different process entirely to become beautified. Now, if we add these lines here, we have lines at the gap between the Uggo field and the beautification field, one between the beautification field and the beautiful field, and then two more lines in the beautiful field. We'll get to that right now. So, we must first talk about the golden ratio phi, which is about 1.618. It occurs in nature extremely, extremely often in spirals of different seeds in different plants, cloud formations, the Archimedes spiral, waves. It's quite impressive how often it comes up in nature. And it also comes up in attractiveness. Now, if we look over here at the rules of this chart, the beautification principle has a +2 phi value, or about 3.236. This means that once beautification, the process of making one beautiful, has been fully achieved for an individual person, specialized to that individual person, their attractiveness will go up 2 phi. This is powerful, because this means that someone who is in the Uggo field can become, a 5.5. That's pretty good. Not beautiful, but it's still, you can look at them. The important part is the beautification field here. Within the beautification field, you can become part of the beautiful field through the beautification process. And that is where the point PBL comes in. PBL is the prime beautification line. This is the point where if you are naturally a 6.764, or about 6.75, if you undergo the beautification process, you will reach a 10 out of 10. A very powerful role to have in the world of attractiveness. But there is an important caveat to this. Overhang is subtracted. If someone is more than a 10 out of 10, that isn't really possible, right? So, they're kind of going a little overboard in their beautification process, meaning they're becoming uncanny, and they fall into the uncanny valley. And you know what I mean if you know what the definition of the uncanny valley is. So it is subtracted any excess. For instance, if we are at a, let's say, 7.5, typically, and then we add 3.236. We would, by regular math, be at a 10.736, but that does not make sense. So we subtract 2 times 0.736. And that gives us a 9.264. Better than a 7.5, obviously, but not better than a 10, because that is impossible. And this brings us to the BIL, or the beautification ineffectivity line. This is the point where if you undergo beautification, you will not improve in beauty whatsoever. This means if someone is naturally an 8.5 and they go through the beautification process, they would be an 11.736, but that is impossible. So we subtract 1.736 twice. Leaving us with an 8.264, less than an 8.25. This is when the uncanny valley truly has a negative impact. Past the beautification ineffectivity line, any beautification process negates any positives. Meaning, if you're past the beautification ineffectivity line, don't go through the beautification process. If someone describes you as an 8.5, you're already set. You don't need to do anything more. If you don't do anything already, then you're good. Now, I put my pass-fail at about 7.5. This changes for some people. I get it. I completely get it. But it's an important thing to have. So, where do you fall on the attractiveness chart? Let's give another example. Let's say someone is a 4, right? What is their peak attractiveness? Well, you just add. So 4 plus 3.236, roughly, you get 7.236. If you know someone whose pass-fail line is at 7, hey, you're attractive to them. But not everyone is that way. So, this is a great example of the use of the golden ratio in nature. Remember, don't be an uggo. And thank you very much for watching.